So, in our journey through this world of invisible signals, we've mostly talked about interference as, an accident, kind of like a digital traffic jam. But today, we're diving into something way more deliberate and, frankly, a lot more dangerous. We're asking what happens when someone wants to silence the airwaves.
All right, so you know where we are. This is part 8 of our 10-part tutorial called Invisible Interference. It's all designed to help every single one of us, no technical background needed, really get a handle on how these signals affect our lives, from a tiny annoyance all the way up to some serious problems.
And this whole explainer, it's part of a public awareness campaign put together by RFI detectives, and it's all based on some really crucial research from Virtualization Options LLC. These are the folks working hard to bring these invisible issues out into the open. Okay, so like I said, everything we've talked about so far in this series has been about accidental interference. But now we're turning a corner and heading into a completely different kind of threat. I mean, we all know the usual suspects, right? You turn on the microwave and your Wi-Fi just tanks. Or the whole family is trying to stream something different and you get that dreaded spinning wheel of death. For the most part, these are just accidental collisions on our very crowded airwaves. But let's ask a pretty chilling question. What happens when that signal loss isn't just a side effect of a busy network? What if someone is intentionally trying to create a total dead zone? And that question, well, it leads us to a much darker chapter in this whole story of radio frequency interference. It's time to meet the device at the very heart of this threat, the signal jammer. So what is this thing exactly? A signal jammer is basically an electronic bully. It's an illegal piece of hardware with one and only one malicious purpose: to shout so loudly with electronic noise that it blocks, jams, and completely overwhelms the legitimate signals we depend on every day. And just look at what's on the line here. Jammers don't just mess up your music stream. They go after the critical lifelines. We're talking about your ability to call 911, the radios that police and firefighters use to coordinate, the GPS that an ambulance needs to find you, even your home and vehicle security systems. Let's be absolutely crystal clear on this. These devices are not toys. They are 100% illegal. The FCC has made it plain. Using or even selling a signal jammer can land you in some serious trouble. And as we're about to see, there's a very, very good reason for that. And that reason gets right to the core of the problem. You see, jamming isn't just a technical issue. It is a massive risk to public safety, especially in those moments when every single second is absolutely critical. You know, the source material for this says it perfectly. Deliberate jamming creates, and I'm quoting here, direct threats to the public safety communications infrastructure that Americans depend on in their most vulnerable moments. Wow, think about that phrase, most vulnerable moments. That's what's at stake. So how does this actually turn into a crisis? Well, it's a terrifying domino effect. First, an emergency happens. Then, someone tries to call 911, but a jammer is active nearby. That call never goes through. Because the call was blocked, dispatch can't send help. And even if first responders manage to get to the scene, that same jammer can cut off their radios, leaving them isolated and totally uncoordinated. This is exactly why we need to focus on the impact this has on our first responders. For them, a clear radio signal isn't a convenience. It is quite literally their lifeline. And the difference is just stark. It's night and day. With clear signals, an emergency response is fast and coordinated. On the scene, teams are getting real-time updates, which keeps them safer. But you introduce a jammer, that response becomes delayed, chaotic. Teams get isolated, confusion takes over, and their safety is fundamentally compromised. So when you zoom out and look at the big picture, it's pretty obvious this is about more than just one blocked call or one confused emergency crew. This is a full-on attack on our shared public infrastructure. We really have to remember that the radio spectrum isn't just some commercial playground for our phones and our gadgets. It's a public resource, just like our roads, our water supply, and our power grid. It's the invisible infrastructure that holds up our collective safety and security. And that's really the bottom line. This isn't some niche techie problem for engineers to worry about. Deliberate jamming is a public infrastructure problem. And because we all rely on that infrastructure, it puts every single one of us at risk. So I want to leave you with this question to chew on. Our entire modern world, from how we communicate and navigate to how we stay secure, it all runs on these invisible signals. Are we really prepared for what happens when that lifeline is deliberately cut?